As we keep moving through this series on boundaries, always know you can go back and watch the other videos in the series to sort of catch you up on where we are. We went through emotional, intellectual, physical, sexual, and material boundaries already. Today is going to be all about money boundaries. Now, if you go back and watch last week's video, you might be thinking, okay, so money and material boundaries are very similar. And you're right, they are. But money boundaries need to be treated just a little bit differently and with a little bit of special focus. So when you think about money, right, it is a tool that can help you get the things that you need to live, to survive, sometimes things that you want, things that you enjoy. But what happens is that money has a lot of emotion that gets attached to it. And it can be a very toxic thing to have to talk about, especially when it comes to other people feeling entitled to your money, or maybe wanting to borrow money all the time, or that whole thing of, you get to the restaurant and they go, oh man, I forgot my wallet, but that happens all the time. And then what happens when a friend or a family member is really in need? Let's say you are in a position where you could help them out. How do you navigate that complication of saying, okay, I'm going to help you. Here's some money to help you get on your feet, or to help you pay that bill, or to help you get out of debt, or whatever it may be. And then how do you collect on it? We would hope that a boundary between people could be set where I'm giving this to you in good faith that you're going to pay me back, and we're agreeing on the terms of that arrangement. But I think we all know that it doesn't always work that way. It is not always that straightforward. Things happen. Life gets in the way. The best of intentions don't always show up in the follow through of, kind of paying your debt back or whatever that may look like. So when you're thinking about money as a boundary, you just want to ask yourself, who am I and who am I not comfortable lending money to? Do I feel like every time I've, had a money situation with this one particular person in my life, it always goes badly? That might be an instance where you should start thinking, okay, how can I set a money boundary with that person? Keep in mind though, when you start to set boundaries, not everyone's gonna like it. And if someone has benefited from you not having a boundary in place, money tends to be one of the areas that elicits a big response. So I just want you to be prepared for that when you do start thinking through setting money boundaries in your life. And this shows up in all kinds of ways. It shows up, from a professional perspective. Someone sends you a bill for services. Do you have a boundary or a guideline that you pay that immediately? Do you keep in contact with the person that you may owe money to? Do you let them know what your plans are for repayment? It's sort of that treating other people the way you want to be treated, and recognizing that there's always going to be things that come up. And so I'm not asking anybody to hold themselves to a level of perfection. We're really just trying to make progress when it comes to treating money as a healthy tool, rather than letting it be something toxic that gets in between people. This also applies in relationships. From like a couples therapy perspective or a relationship coaching perspective, there are three main areas that every couple has to figure out. One is the sexual aspect of the relationship. One is what we'll call the family division of labor, family planning sort of section. And then money is the other big pillar that every couple I've ever worked with in my last couple of decades of doing this work has had to figure out the money situation. We all have a money story, how money was treated when we were growing up. What did it feel like when money was, given to us or taken from us? Or did we feel provided for? Did we feel like money was being used as a weapon against us in some capacity? Is it simply that we grew up maybe not having a lot of money, and so now we view everything through the fear and scarcity lens? None of these things are judgments. These are things that you've got to get in touch with. Really figure out, what is my individual money story? How do I treat it? How has it been treated in my life? And how do I want to treat it going forward? When talking about it from a relationship perspective, you have to look at it from both people's perspectives. This is where empathy and relationship compassion and understanding really come into play, because you've got to be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes and understand where they're coming from, but still figure out a money plan that works for both people. There is so much to say about this whole concept of money boundaries, which is the reason we're going to keep talking about it. We're not just going to leave it at this. We're also going to dig into it a lot more on the podcast this Thursday. So make sure you tune back in for that so you don't miss any of the explanation about how money boundaries can be treated. Until next time, I do hope you keep living your best life and building that relationship of your dreams.